I decided to focus more on giving away than making money. Part of the thing that drives computer science forward is doing risky things, having a long-term time horizon. When I was young, I had to read the World Book sort of alphabetically, and it didn't have any videos you could click on, and it was, it's weird to learn things alphabetically. It's kind of hard to create quite the same framework as you can with all these great online materials.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Bill Gates, and my take on his top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Love what you do.
The greatest pleasure of your life is when you're doing what? Is it, other than being interviewed by me or something like that, what is the greatest pleasure of your life?
Time with kids, time with scientists, time when I'm reading and things are making sense, going out and seeing the impact of the foundation's work, meeting with scientists who think we can make breakthroughs to help solve climate. These are super interesting problems, and having a broad set of system thinking applied to these problems is going to be necessary to orchestrate the resources and policies behind them. So, I love my work.
Rule number 2, understand the customer.
How would you define your strengths and your weaknesses? How you can, incorporate those into a team kind of aspect?
Well, I'm not somebody who knows a lot about marketing. I wouldn't enjoy being a salesman. For a position where you're actually creating the products and thinking through what those features should be, I'm fascinated by that. I followed the history of the industry, read about the mistakes that have been made. So product definition, product creation, very strong. If you have a team that understands the customers, the sales, the marketing, I'm not going to bring that, but I would enjoy working with them.
Rule number 3, trust your ideas.
The key thing was that Paul, Alan, and I had loved working on software since we were lucky enough to be exposed. Literally, I was 13 in 8th grade when this time-sharing terminal came in, and we just did it day and night and got better. And we could see that the magic of software combined with this miracle of the microprocessor, subject to Moore's law, exponential improvement, that was a magic combination. And we'd look around and say, hey, how come everybody's not saying this is amazing? I mean, we're going to dethrone IBM, and why doesn't Digital Equipment get it? Why is the guy who runs it, this is a company that's long gone, but dominated many computers at the time, why isn't that guy up there saying it's wrong? We know it's right. And so the key event for us was, it was a very cold Boston winter, and a kit computer came out on this Popular Electronics magazine, and we said, oh, damn, this is happening without us. I mean, here we are doing nothing. And so we called the company up and said, hey, we're ready. And then we called them back. We actually did the work, and then we called them back and said, how do you make the stuff go in and out of the computer, the I/O? And they said, well, that's interesting. Nobody else has ever asked that. You must really be doing something. So that was, anyway, our very first customer. And so we grabbed onto it to be the very first. And we were the first to say there should be a software industry and come and do it. In a sense, it was one of the lower risk things I've ever done in my life because, I could have always gone back. Well, my dad didn't say, hey, if you go away for a few years, I'll stop paying for your education. They were nice and said, okay, go, learn your lesson down there in the desert, and then you get back to the serious stuff, and we're still waiting.
Rule number 4, give back.
I decided to focus more on giving away than making money, and so I've gotten a chance to travel the world, be out in Africa and Asia quite a bit, and see the needs that are out there. And now our foundation is very focused on global health, focused on agriculture, because the majority of the very poor in the world are farmers who have very small plots of land. So any increase in productivity or certainty of their crop coming in can make a huge difference for them. And you might think of a career in software, selling to people who can afford personal computers, and now the career at the foundation is being very different. And certainly they're different in the sense that now it's about vaccines. Now a lot it's with various governments, the donor governments, the governments in import countries. But at its core, it's really basically the same thing, which is finding innovators, people who've got breakthrough ideas, be willing to back them, understand what they're working on, measure what they're coming up with, try and make sure that when it's delivered, it really has the impact it's supposed to be, and getting into a feedback loop driven by very precise measurement.
Also, if you want to have more self-belief and more self-confidence, I have designed a free training program just for you, where every day for the next 254 days, I'll send you an email with an unlisted video to help you boost your confidence. The science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action to build a habit, and so I want you to build the habit of self-belief and self-confidence. It's 100% free. The link to join is in the description below.
You really have to believe the internet's going to be mainstream. A lot of people are going to get out there and use it. When you have the level of success that we've had, when you have a business that's important as this with this many competitors, you're going to have people saying some nasty things. If you ask people across the United States, is the future going to be better than the past? Most say no.
Rule number 5, be passionate.
We felt a little bad, certainly I did, about leaving the university when I thought very interesting work on artificial intelligence was really on the verge of taking place and symbolically proving programs were correct. Ironically now, it's taken a long time. The rate of progress, which is hard to make numeric, in both those areas has been quite modest. I mean, we haven't gone backwards or anything, but AI has turned out to be a tougher problem, which is fascinating. And now there are some interesting advances, and likewise symbolic type things. There are some now advances. So we thought we'd miss being more at the center of those. Now through at least funding Microsoft Research, we get to have some level of involvement in that. One of Paul's ideas was to build a 360 emulator. That was the dominant mainframe of the time, used bit slice architecture to just blow away the pricing on mainframe computing, but we decided that was kind of boring compared to personal computing. A company came along about 5 years later, 2Pi, and did it. They didn't do the software piece right. That's why they failed, because we still think it was a good idea. But we didn't have anything even close to, hey, let's build a computer that we want to use, that we want to have as a tool for our own messing around and communication and creativity. That kind of got at the center of our thinking, even from the early days.
Rule number 6, use all opportunities.
When I was young, I had to read the World Book sort of alphabetically, and it didn't have any videos you could click on, and it was, it's weird to learn things alphabetically. It's kind of hard to create quite the same framework as you can with all these great online materials. And so I think the empowerment now, the opportunity to see what's going on, whether it's in fields of science or in places that are far away, including those most in need, it's never been so great. It's a wonderful time to be a student. Now, software, in terms of letting us simulate things, whether it's scientific phenomena or social phenomena, it's getting better and better. And so I think almost any major that you have nowadays, understanding what software, how it's going to change those activities is a key part of being at the cutting edge.
Rule number 7, think about the future.
When you have a tragedy like this pandemic, there is always the possibility you're going to narrow your community that you care about. You're going to think about yourself or your family, not the whole country, including those who've been somewhat left behind. Likewise, there's a risk looking at Africa and other developing countries and saying, no, we need to help them out because difficulties there of not enough food are really extreme, and small amounts of the budget, less than 1%, can help them out. Likewise, you don't want to just think about the here and now, you also want to think about the future. After all, the government failed us by not anticipating this pandemic. There were voices like mine in TED Talk and other venues that kind of said, hey, get ready. We don't know when, but it's coming. Sadly, that didn't happen. Another thing we trust government to get us ready for is climate change. That's coming, and it won't be as easy as creating a vaccine to solve it. And so right now, in terms of people's sympathy being broad, being willing to address other problems even though they're not here right now, I am actually seeing a lot of positive voices. People saying, make sure the recovery is a green recovery. Europe has done a lot on that. And actually the dialogue in politics about, does climate change matter is stronger today than it's ever been. So this closing in and only worrying about the short term, I'm not seeing that. Of course, your audience, which is very young, will be the key to saying, let's not just look at this short term. Let's start the investments that deal with inequities. Let's start the investments that can make sure climate change doesn't come in and have even more tragic results than this pandemic does. Young people thinking about policies, getting involved. I think I'm seeing an uptick. I hope that's sustained because they're the ones who will really do the innovative work.
Rule number 8, take risks.
Part of the thing that drives computer science forward is doing risky things, having a long-term time horizon. And when Microsoft was a small company, we benefited from the fact that AT&T and Xerox and other companies had made investments in research, that they'd reached out and worked with universities on a broad basis. So we felt very lucky that as we got to a certain level of success, we could start our own research group and have that research group be in partnership with top universities all over the world doing advanced programs, things that range from the work on speech recognition all the way up to quantum computing. We have a fairly serious program that has a high risk of failure, which makes it fun and interesting on quantum computing. And even in the best case, it's probably a decade away before that makes a difference. But that's the kind of thing that when it works can have incredibly high payoff.
Rule number 9, hang out with successful people.
There's no doubt that creating a board, having people like Dave Marquardt there who wasn't at the company, and we were so overwrought about, this is right, this is wrong, we messed this up, that having people have a little bit of distance come in and talk to us is good. For the last 30 years or so, I've gotten to be friends with Warren Buffett, and he's in Omaha. He's not in this tech world at all, and to him it's like, hey, how could you ever know which will rise and which will fall? I'm not going to put money until Apple sold at a multiple of 12. Then he decided he could put $50 billion into that. After he asked all his friends, hey, if somebody had an iPhone that was half as expensive, would you switch away? Or is it more like jewelry where you really want to have an iPhone? And so he decided that those profit streams might not be eliminated anytime soon. Anyway, because he's not in this world, he has a definite way of looking at things, including this idea of how work should be fun. He has made his work so much fun that he works more hours than I do. He works 6 days a week at 88 years old. And he likes to say that he skips to work every day. He doesn't, but he says that.
It's a good visual.
When he was 83, he could still skip, but now he's gotten really, he can't do it. Having somebody like that, the toughest thing I went through was this antitrust lawsuit where, it didn't seem very predictable, and he was a great counsel during all of that stuff. So getting somebody who's successful in another domain, but yet kind of a business type mindset. Anyway, for me, that was a huge gift.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
Here it is.
This is it.
The Nebraska Furniture Mart.
A legend.
So how did this all get started?
It got started by a woman. Her name was Rose Bumpkin. Came to the country in 1917. When she got to be 89, she decided she was going to sell the store, and there were some other people interested. And she said, no, I'm going to sell to Mr. Buffett. She lived to 104. When she got to be 103, she retired. I mean, I just wish Mrs. B was around to see this today. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
how well it's done.
it just
mind-blowing. So this is July 5th, 1991. We didn't know why we were meeting each other until we met each other.
Exactly.
We thought our domains did not overlap.
Right.
But the domain of trying to understand how the world works and what was going on, we both found each other's way of looking at that so fascinating that they had to tear us apart, and we became close friends as of that day.
My real vocational goal was to be a mattress tester. I mean, I thought that would be a terrific job. I just test mattresses all day, but I never got that. But they did me a mattress after me, the Warren. Well,
there we go.
That, touting.
Pretty nice.
Can you imagine this? I mean, this is the way to spend your time.
I think this is better than the mattress I sleep on.
I wouldn't fool around with computers when I could be in this position. I mean.
Can you remember buying your first mattress, Warren?
Well, I didn't do very much of the purchasing in our family. I can't recall ever buying anything, actually. Check this man's credit and see if he's good.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch something and get motivated and just get inspired, you have a 35% chance of actually following through. But when you get motivated and then you actually create an action plan for what you're gonna do, you increase it from 35% to 91% chance of you actually following through. And when you share your plan publicly, that jumps to 95% chance of following through. So I want that for you. I want to know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Put it down in the comments below so I can celebrate you.
I think it's important that we build that feedback system. Now, exactly how you do that, how much you connect that up to the PACE system, we need experimentation, and we can look at these other countries that have done it. There is a move afoot to do some of this, but whether the investment levels be enough to make it high quality, and whether there'll be kind of high stakes that overuse the test scores for this stuff and will sort of hurt its reputation, it's hard to say at this point. But I'd say it's giving more feedback to teachers would be the very first thing that would get us back up to being one of the best in the world.
If you want more top 10 videos, they're not on this channel anymore. I have a dedicated channel just for it. Go check it out. The link is right there next to me. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.